in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Yeah. Morning, Truman.
Morning, Spencer. Hey, Pluto. Oh, no. Get down.
He won't hurt you.
Get down.
Yeah, I know. It's just me. Come on, Pluto.
Here's a news flash just then. An aircraft in trouble began shedding parts as it flew over Sea Haven just a few moments ago. Wow, luckily no one was hurt. But hey, how do you feel today?
When you think about reality, right? Most people accept reality as they just accept it, right? So they go to work and, you know, they follow all these narratives and stuff, but all these narratives are built on other narratives that are built on other narratives that are built on other narratives, and it just carries on and carries on and carries on and carries on and carries on, yeah? So, but what I'm trying to say is, if you actually use logic and you drill down through all the narratives, yeah? And you start from the beginning point, you realize that you live in a simulation, okay? So let me explain. It's kind of like when in the Truman Show, when that light bulb fell from the sky, you know, and Truman started to think, hang on a minute, there's no way that, you know, so this is for me, I'm going to cite some examples that came to me last night, to talk about, which are like the light moment for Truman. So if you think about it this way, right? Most people that are walking in this dimension called Earth, you know, most of them believe that they evolved, yeah? They're all sort of like, followers of the religion called scientism, like I like, you know, as I like to call it. Because science, whether you like it or not, is a religion. Because at the moment, theories are pushed as fact, and no one's asked to question, you're not allowed to question it. That's dogma. You know, it's kind of like the Catholic Church. Just follow me, and that's it. Yeah, the end. That's science for you. And their high priests are people like Neil deGrasse Tyson, Michio Kaku, Bill Nye, even though these people are actually actors, they're actually actors. But anyway, that's another story for another day. The point is, if we go back to the Big Bang, yeah, because evolution is a child of the Big Bang, so we need to go to the very first narrative. What's the very first narrative? The very first narrative is that Big Bang, spontaneous explosion happened in the middle of nowhere, which created everything that we know today, including, I can't say this stuff with a straight face, including water, air, humans, the sun, you know, fish, birds, you know, caterpillars, butterflies, dragonflies, you name it. Everything came from this one explosion, right? But somehow everything before the Big Bang, we don't know, right? So essentially that is the beginning of the illusion. You know, with just like any magic trick or any illusion or any setup or any con, you need the first kind of thing to go in. The Big Bang is the first one. So Big Bang happens, blah, 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 blah. Now, let's come back to the present day, and it will keep reverting back and forth just to show you how you actually are not a human being, bro. I'm just gonna, you know, anyway, we'll get into it. So Big Bang happens, right? Blah, 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 blah. Primordial soup, lightning, you know, animals come out of the water, you know, and they live here. But anyway, even that is stupid in a way, because if you think about it, how can an animal come out of water, which is not its natural habitat, and find food? Where would it even find food? What would it even eat as food? Or are you telling me that it's amphibious and it went back and forth? But how do you know? And even if it was amphibious and went back and forth, As long as it had food supplies there in its natural habitat, there's no reason to put yourself in a hostile environment where there is actually a sun that's cooking the earth. There are quote unquote dinosaurs, but even the dinosaurs, right? It's like you can't you can't merge the lies, because there's so many lies and so many false narratives that it's all stacked together and it's crammed in your brain, and somehow you're supposed to make sense of it. So if animals crept out of the water and came out and started living as, single cell organisms, or lizards and reptiles, whatever it is, right? At what point did dinosaurs come into the picture? At what point did dinosaurs come into the picture? And if we can't answer the question, I know people will say, oh, the Neolithic, blah, 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 250 million years ago, but nobody was there, bro. Like, it's all a joke. Like, how can anybody on Earth today tell me something that happened a million years ago? Oh, carbon dating. Carbon dating is not like, anyway, man. It's actually crazy. How can you carbon date something back to a million years? How? What is the reference point for the carbon dating machine? What is the carbon dating thing working against to be able to draw a baseline to say, actually, okay, this is what something that is a billion years looks like. This was something that's 100 million years looks like. So if I'm looking at this fossil, it's somewhere in between. How does it know? Do you see? Guys, listen, this whole thing is a dream. You're living it. It's a false reality. Nothing around you is real. You live in Truman Show. Nothing around you is real. Anyway, let's come back to the present day, right? So we wake up every day, we see a light in the sky called the sun. Yeah. And we see a light that sometimes is in the day, sometimes is in the night, which is called the moon. They're the same size because they eclipse each other, fit on top of one another perfectly. Right? But then somehow this moon is also tied to women and their menstrual cycles and stuff like that, even with the phases. Okay, so let's go back to the Big Bang. A spontaneous, random explosion happens in the middle of nowhere, right? And then somehow this spontaneous explosion gathers everything, right? And creates everything, including a rock that revolves around your home that is somehow telepathically connected to women. Guys, if this is not the moment for you, I don't know what to say. Like, how? Now, let's even go one step further. So, everything explodes out, right? Bosh. And then somehow, we have a sun that is just on all the time. It doesn't change. It doesn't, nothing. The sun is the sun. The sun has always been the sun. The sun will always be the sun. The sun will always do what the sun does. Again, how is the sun connected to plants? How have plants developed to rely on the sun? When everything started from the Big Bang, there was no intelligence, remember? So it's almost like telling me that it's like the old adage with the, you get monkeys with typewriters and they type for an infinite amount of time. They should be able to write the complete works of Shakespeare. That's complete and utter bullshit. Like, it will never happen. Like, it's a nonsense. You might get like a word here and there because you're telling me that, but even then, the monkey is intelligent enough to know how to use the typewriter. Right? There is an intelligence there. The monkey is intelligent enough for you to be able to actually carry out the experiment using the monkey. There's an intelligence there. Right? I think a better kind of way to explain the Big Bang is, a tornado ripping through a junkyard and assembling a private jet or assembling a yacht complete with leather upholstery, mink interior, plumbing, electricity, heating, everything from a tornado. Because a tornado, as far as we know, doesn't have any kind of quote unquote intelligence because it's a random spontaneous action, right? Going through a random set of variables, i.e. the scrapyard, and putting together something that works. intelligently. Bro, there is no way you came from the Big Bang. I'm just telling you that off rip. You know, right? So if the Big Bang, like, you see, the thing is, most people don't even do the research because most people just want to follow somebody that knows the way, because most people just, it's like almost like a psychological knowledge that they know that this place is, they don't understand it. So they go into the illusion and then let the scientists lead them, let the politicians lead them. And they're only leading you to destruction, and you're going to get wheeled straight back here if you don't learn the lessons. You don't understand what this place is. You came here to experience life. You came here to grow. You came here to become you. Do you understand? Like, like, how can you look around, you know, and look at the intricacy of a plant like the Venus flytrap, a plant that eats animals, right? Or look at the coconut, which essentially nourishes itself with salt water, but it makes some of the most, like, tastiest, healthiest water that you can imagine. Its own filtering system. Like, you know, how does a sunflower know to follow the sun? Like, all of this is intelligence, guys. It's intelligence. It's intelligence, like real intelligence. Do you understand? Like, we have vines, we have plants that even grow in the desert, man. You know? But you're telling me that all of this came from a random explosion in the middle of nowhere, and then somehow we ended up here. And then somehow, even though the explosion happened, we have these, you know, wandering stars or luminaries or planets, as people like to call them, that revolve around us in specific patterns. And even those things are operating with an intelligence. If you look at the path Venus makes across the night sky, it's like a flower. You look at every single one of the planets makes a design in the sky. That's intelligence, man. How do you get that from a random explosion in the middle of nowhere? Now let's look at the sun and the moon. The sun and the moon also make analemas in the sky. They make shapes in the sky. If you look at I've actually done this myself. I've got the photographs on, my camera. One of my cameras, on one of the SD cards. I took a picture of the sun every day, for a year from the same point at the same time. The sun makes a shape in the sky. The moon also makes a shape in the sky, but you have to adjust for time. You have to adjust it by, I think, 51 minutes or something like this. It makes a shape in the sky. You know, all of this is pure intelligence, pure consciousness, bro. But they'll have you believe it's random, and people believe it's random. Like, so here's the actual point. If somebody can lie to you about your origins, what you are, what you live on, what animals are, what plants are, what intelligence is, blah, 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 blah. What makes you think they're not going to lie to you about what you are? It's a mockery when they put the monkey thing on the screen and tell you that, yep, it was a monkey and then you came out. But yet they can't show you the in-between stage of the monkey and the man. They can't show you. The racialists will try and go down the road of race, but we all know that's dog shit. As if it doesn't even matter, right? That's dog shit. Where's the in-between stage of the, let's say, pick a random animal. What's the in-between stage of it? You know, there are animals and plants in this world that don't even have relatives. Did you know that marijuana does not have a relative as a plant? It does not have a relative. So how does a random explosion in the middle of nowhere create a plant that has no relatives, but it's been around forever? I mean, come on. How is it that a random explosion that happens in the middle of nowhere, right, is able to create things that the organisms that are also created from this random explosion can eat? Guys, how the fuck are you, a living, breathing human being, tracing your origin to an explosion? How, Sway? How? It's like that, the example I use with the yacht or the private jet that's assembled by the tornado. And the tornado looks at the yacht looks at the tornado and goes, yeah, that's my origin. I mean, if you saw that, if anybody told you that, you would literally burst out laughing because it's actually ridiculous. But that's what everybody that believes in evolution is doing. Do you understand? This is the Truman world, man. You know, it's a Truman world. Nothing here is real. You're not even a human. You're not even here. Well, I made a video called You're Not Even Here. You're not even here. You're not even here. You're just experiencing consciousness, which is life itself as you. That's all you're doing. And then once you're done experiencing life as you, you're done. Then you might go and experience life as something else. Because that's what this amusement park is. You know, and that's why if you pay attention to the system does everything in its power to constantly reinforce their ideas. If you look at Hollywood's, the movies that the Ministry of Information, Hollywood brings out, if you look at the songs that they, you know, the news articles, blah, 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 you know, it's always, it's got a specific pattern, you know, and if you listen to the fake preachers of scientism, they always tell you, oh, the earth is changing, oh, something's gonna happen, oh, the sun is gonna burn out, oh, like all these stupid things, bro. How the fuck do you live on earth with me and you're telling me that the sun's gonna explode? How the fuck, how do you know? From when no one can even get close to the sun. Did you actually know that the sun's actually not even hot? The sun's actually not even hot. Anybody that's climbed a mountain, I've climbed loads of mountains. You climb up, you go up, it's cold. Okay? You get on a plane and your plane's cruising at 35,000, 36, 37,000 feet, right? What happens to the windows? It's icicles. The place it's cold, but you are actually closer to the sun. How does that make sense? How does that make sense? This place is not what you think it is, man. Like, and I don't care about any theory or I don't deal with theories. I deal with facts. You know, my own common sense perceptions and my own experience. Like, you cannot tell me that a ball, you live on a ball that has water sloshing around it. Like, are you actually not, what's, like, what? And then somehow, see, the Big Bang is the okie doke, trust me, because once you dissect it from that point, right, then you start to realize, oh shit, okay, so what is gravity then? Because from that one explosion, everything then somehow ended up being suspended and attracted to the sun, and the sun's also attracted to the center of the universe. But then somehow, think about this, right? So you got an explosion, boom, everything's gone in all different ways, right? And the stuff, somehow, the explosion, the stuff is spinning, yeah? And then somehow our sun combusts, woo, and then turns on, right? That's their story. And then once it turns on, there are these pebbles that are also sloshing around in space from the explosion, but then somehow they're attracted to the sun. But they don't get pulled into the center of the sun, they just stay where they are. And they stayed where they are since forever. This is why, if you go back to Göbekli Tepe, you go to Egypt, you go to Machu Picchu, you go wherever that they have all these celestial kind of hieroglyphs or information, or even what do you call it, Sumeria, and all these places where there's all this information about the stars and stuff. They always show you the constellations as they were back then, but nothing has changed. So all these years, no star, no nothing has shifted even 1 degree. Orion is still Orion, Taurus is still Taurus, Virgo is still Virgo, Leo is still Leo. What? Draco is still Draco, Ursa is still Ursa. They're still the same. So how is it that you have all these balls, right, that have exploded? And furthermore, what explosion, yeah, this explosion of nothing, right? Because we don't know what even exploded. But this thing that exploded somehow produced all these circular things. Everything's circular. So the sun is circular. The moon is circular. The planets are circular. Everything's circular. What? An explosion that can create a uniform sized thing? What? But then science will tell you that, oh, no, the sun is only because the moon is 400 times smaller than the sun. That's why it fits perfectly. Bro, if you want to believe that, believe what you want. But then somehow they have a rhythm. They have a pattern. Yeah. And they can eclipse each other. And when an eclipse happens, there's oh my God, guys, you can literally look at the sun, yeah, and the moon and draw energy from it. How the fuck did that start from an explosion, man? You can literally go on sun gaze and you feel energized. Your body just energizes. Get on a plane today, go anywhere in the tropics. Yeah, the minute the plane door opens and those waves hit you, you literally feel energized. Go to a hot country and jump in the ocean right now and see what happens to your body. See if you don't feel energized. See if you don't smile. Pick a dark night when the moon is full and all the stars are out, shooting stars everywhere, and just stargaze for an hour and see how you feel. Guys, man, come on. Come on, man. You're being fucked. Your head is being fucked. You see, the crazy thing is, right, in the Truman Show, I'm going to try and put that video up. In the Truman Show, when it happened, it was a star. The light that fell in front of him was a star. It was Sirius B, which is the brightest star in the night sky, at least in the northern hemisphere. Sirius, which follows Orion, right? The dog star. And that was not put there by accident. Now, let's go to Africa for a second. Let's go to the Dogon people. The Dogon people, without telescopes, without any information, knew that Sirius had a revolving moon around it. It's documented. How the fuck did those people, okay, let's go back to the Big Bang again. How the fuck are you able to ascertain that star has a revolving something around it when you live on a ball that started life as an explosion in the middle of nowhere? How do you explain spirituality? How do you explain NDEs? How do you explain deja vu? How do you explain past life regressions? Guys, we've been alive since the beginning and we will never die. The bodies will die. Your body will die. Let me just keep it 100. Your body will die, but the thing that's animating you will never die. It doesn't know death. Come on. It doesn't know death. What's death? It doesn't even make sense. Anyway, that's it.